All right, guys, welcome back to Hello Jamaica Show. My name is Queen Jojo, and it's now time for Focus on Africa with the Benki and Isaiah Mentor. This morning, of course, we're focusing on. Sorry, guys. This morning we're focusing on Africa, of course, but not just focusing on Africa. The topic this morning, and let me make sure I get it right. We are looking at the history of Africa. What is it they have not shared with us? So, Africa before Africa before the rich history the world often overlooks. So, when people talk about Africa, I always say it. And you have to go and research for yourself. You have to go and look for yourself. When you notice that the greatness, the amazing things that are happening years before, slave owners and everybody come and try to rape Africa herself. You understand me? And that's what we're going to be talking about. Africa before them come take and come give the own narrative and share their own story. And we have the Benke and Isaiah Mentor who is going to speak to us about that, the African history. So good morning, gentlemen. How are you this morning?
I can hear you.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. The Benke, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go quiet. To radio.
All right. So we're talking about Africa, but Africa before they put their own story together about Africa. The history of Africa. The Benke, when people hear about African history, right? What is one of the major misconceptions you believe needs to be corrected and corrected right away?
Well, one of the main misconceptions is that we look through at our motherland from the lens of from a foreign perspective. So I think until we learn to see it from our own perspective, it becomes difficult to appreciate it. Who we are, what the continent is about, and the contributions and its connections that it has always had to the whole world.
Yes.
So right now, it has become a time where we live in the media world. Information becomes so rampant, and a lot of people have these alternate information in their head now about, hey, what should I think about it, like this or that or like that or this?
Yeah.
What really happened? It really take just thinking it through. And it kind of, certain things wasn't clear to me either, not even just by talking to people, traveling. It really took sitting down and just really doing research about it,
Yeah.
So the main misconception is that the continent was backwards and that Europeans brought civilization and knowledge. And the biggest one was that we were without a concept of God or a value system. You see, and these are the things that really knock out of people the wind or the spirit, so to speak. So in correcting that really puts us now on a trajectory to begin to be appreciative of who we are, appreciative of each other, and develop our societies based on those fundamentals.
Yeah, I agree there. Isaiah, what say you?
Well, all one has to do is just envision the birthplace of civilization. Let's start there. The birthplace of civilization. So even a lay person that is not necessarily doing a lot of research or whatever, that's a regular person can just close your eyes and envision the birthplace of civilization and what that means as it relates to science, mathematics, technology, all of these things that we as African created for the world. Everything that you see the Western world using right now originated and created in Africa. I mean, most of the things, there are some modern stuff, but even the concept of AI and all these things derive from the mindset of Africans. You know what I'm saying? Africa was a robust, diverse, complex society. Society is within the continent. When you're talking about empires like Abyssinia, which is Ethiopia, you're talking about Kemet, Egypt. When you're talking about Mali, Mansa Musa, the richest country in the world. So when it comes to richness and education and technology, every single child, and I hope and I'm going to trust that the schools of the African diaspora and within Africa are teaching these things. I'm going to feel comfortable saying that they are, because this is so important that our children in the school, I want when they look up on the walls, they see kings like Mansa Musa, they see the warrior empresses of Ghana. These are the things that I want to see in school and the education, because the narrative, the West changed the narrative. They control the narrative. So what we see nowadays is already manipulated by the West. And so, yes, Africa has such a rich history. It's going to take more than this to even fully explain to our audience. But listen, I trust that our audience are very intelligent people that does their research, and they're not stupid. People are waking up to the reality that Africa is the birthplace of civilization, and it's going to come back as long as we do our research and identify with our Africanity and be strong together.
And both gentlemen, you can do this. Can you highlight one African civilization or empire whose achievements deserve more global recognition?
Egypt. All of everybody can go with this Egypt, basically. And when it comes to mathematics, science, English, and even right now they're still trying to figure out the technological organization in creating the pyramids. I mean, we as Africans in Egypt, the amount of things that the calculations of of mathematics and how we used to create stuff. Even right now in 2025, they still cannot come to understand how did we create the pyramids, how we create science and technology. You know what I'm saying? So all these things are in our gene, our DNA, and that's why they have, even up to this day, they have some of the best neurosurgeons are Africans. And so everything, just to kind of answer your question real quick, everything that they're using, that's our achievement. And the West they took it and they changed the narrative and make it look like they create stuff, when in reality we create every single thing that you're using, or the concept of what we originated. They're using it in this day.
Right. We're getting some interesting responses right now on the WhatsApp line. I'm gonna read it to you, gentlemen. All right. So Richie is saying that Jojo Morning wasn't not the same African that sell us out to white man. From that time, black don't like black, right? And then Big Head says they forgot to tell us that all the so-called great philosophers from Greece, Rome, etc., they went to, I don't know how to pronounce that name, Alkebulan. All right, ancient name of the continent, to study for years. So he's saying that these great philosophers went to Africa basically to study, and somebody's also asking, I don't know if anybody can answer this interesting question as well. I heard that it is 2014 in Ethiopia. Is that true? So those are the responses. Is that true?
Yes. We used a different time zone. We didn't go with the Gregorian calendar. Maybe King Benki can go further on that. Yeah, but we are not using the Gregorian calendar or the Western calendar. Ethiopia stick to its thing. Yeah, go ahead, Benki. Sorry.
All right. So this way you just did a while ago, Queen Jojo, is very interesting. You know why? You took 3 different perspectives.
Right. You recognize, right? 3
at the conversation. And that is good, because what it shows that is that we are apart and on different have different perspectives in terms of the conversation. And you will not arrive at a clear perspective without some research or some thinking about it, at least, all right?
Yeah.
So the easiest thing to do is just say, okay, Master did say this, so it's true. And everything Master says is true, all right? We would be destroying our own ability to think if we approach it like that. So back to your question with Ethiopia. Yes, it's like 7 years behind, because the world have different calendars, all right? It's something that mankind agree. We're going to use this one or that one. The Chinese New Year will be in February, right? Some people have the lunar cycle, the solar cycle. So Ethiopia didn't changed with the world with the Gregorian calendar. It used what is the Julian calendar. So it have them 7 years behind, but it still work out mathematically. Now to the question of Alkibola. There are many different words that people use to describe the African continent as a whole, right? So the continent is huge. It's twice the size of China and Russia. All right?
Yes.
It's bigger than how it appears on the map. And that is just because of the whole psychological projection that we're trying to get out of. All right, which undermines the continent and turns it upside down. So Alkebulan is one of those names that was used to reference the continent as a whole at one stage. The term Africa is also used at one stage, and it is what we're using at the modern stage. So where the transfer of information that came out of the interior of Africa and out of the depth of Ethiopia and from the southern parts of Africa, the transfer of that knowledge system that developed over thousands of years took place in what is now modern day Egypt, what we refer to as Kemet, right? But I like to be clear that though that knowledge system developed for thousands of years in what is now Ethiopia and in the African interior, because Egypt has a bad stigma, because it is realized that this is the clear source for African history. Why? Let me be clear with that. There are many languages in Africa, about 5,000, okay? But the only one that we have an ancient script that has been deciphered for the world today. That means we can go back 5,000 years ago and see what these people were writing about themselves, thinking about themselves, what they were saying to each other. So once you have an grasp of that language, and it is a part of the masterclass series that we are putting together here. How to read that language. It's not so hard. I help to teach it myself. But once you have a grasp of that, now you are looking into the minds of your ancestors 5,000 years ago unadulterated. Meaning you don't need to go to the Arabs, you don't need to go to Europeans. We are going through the lens of Africans in terms of what their philosophy is, what they said about themselves. And for now, this is the only direct route I have recognized outside of you become initiated in one of the Yoruba, Khan, or one of those traditions. So it is the academic route that the academics have recommended. You want to know your history as Black people? Go to ancient Egypt and Kemet. But also, in respect with the topic, I remember I pause and come back here because it's important. When we talk about the European and Arab invasions in Africa, we're talking from like the 7th century to the 15th century, all right? And during that point, the systems, that the governing systems, the philosophy was systematically broken down. The tradition was broken down. Why? In order to make rise for Islam and the versions of Christianity that we know today. Let me just take a pause there. Hopefully we can come back a little. Yes.
And we have one more question based on the conversation we're having here. And it's coming from Sled. Sled says, my question is, all the great things that our ancestors, created, what made we lose it all to the other people in the first place?
What a nice question. Go ahead.
You know what? There was a gentleman, and our brother that made a comment about how we selling our people, and I've been hearing this a lot, and I want to burn with some love here, and I'm going to spoon feed. I'm not no historian, I'm not no well-educated individual. The planet is my teacher, but let me just spoon feed people this, because I really need people to stop using the Western narrative about Africans selling African. Let me broke it down. If Rima and Tivoli in a war, and some Shataf and Rima get caught in a Tivoli, you see, if we get more weapon, we're going to sell the people of Rima. We're going to sell them, see, and get weapons, ammunition, sustenance from the manipulating Europeans. Then they're on the sideline are watching them. But when the people in Rima come in at Tivoli, we catch them, we never go because we use them as commodities or resource to get more things. So this is the basic We may try to put it the African, no sell African. We were civilized people. We not just get up and sell people. There are different tribal wars. There are different parts in Africa where people, even up until this day,
Yes.
you have sections of the world who war against each other. We are not cannibals or uncivilized people, so that European or Eurocentric narrative needs to get thrown in the garbage. Africans just don't grab people off of the street and sell them. At that time, there were borders, there were this and that, because Europe was there manipulating and dicing up Africa and turn Africans against each other. That's why we still have borders. So when somebody from Rima come in at Tivoli and we catch them, we say, you know what, them people are worth more to it to get some more gun, food, ammunition, and some things. That's it. Don't get me wrong, I don't know the full history. We just born yesterday. And maybe there is some of the thing go on. But the basic and general understanding, I need people to stop thinking that Africans just grab them people and sell them people. One more point I want to make as it relates to the context of what's going on in 2025 going into 26 and the future, as it relates to Black people within the African and in the diaspora. I want this, and I want everyone to please listen. When you walk the streets of Europe, when you walk the streets of America, wherever you go, I need you to hold your head up high. You are not an illegal alien. You're not there as some whatever come to take what people can. I need you to know that your ancestors built this.
Yes.
You own America. You own England. You own the West. Because guess what? These countries would be not even a third world, a fourth world country if it wasn't for Africa. Without our resource, minerals, and intelligence, and technology, and medicine, Europe wouldn't exist. So as a Black woman or man, when you walk the streets of Europe and America or anywhere, please hold your head up high, be strong, be confident, and you're the descendant of kings and queens who built this, and just be confident with that and know that, we are strong, resilient people.
That's right. That's right. The Benki?
All right, watch. You see, while we appreciate everything, let me just tell you something. We are Isaiah mentor. We have the passion, and we have everything about this program. What we share is we belong to. I'm pretty sure Isaiah mentor as a member of ASCII, right? With the music. So there's another ASCII that I want to mention here. It is the Association for the Association for the Study of Classic African Civilization. All right, it's an organization which we don't know I'm a part of. So look, I have to say this. There's a certain depth of this history and knowledge and awareness today that you will not get to by just, the religious route or without being a part of a study group. All right?
Right.
So it is not just randomly we arrive at realizing what is happening, because there's so much deception out there. So at some point we have to get down to the matter and bring this within a settings where we can really analyze it. Because if we just touch and let go, we still leave the misconception out there. So for brethren who mentioned that Africans sell out each other, I want to say that, hey, the first time I heard this on Sun City Radio was from Richie. Big up, Richie.
I'm Richie, same one. Ask the question.
Richie, same one.
Yeah, Richie, same one.
We have to go keep a conference and invite Richie. And the only way we can really get to the root of this. You understand? and the last time Richie mentioned it, it inspired me to go write a whole paper. So I have a whole paper on it. It's in the audiobook. I'm going to send it to you, Queen Georgia, and I send it to Ricky.
All right, no problem.
It's going to be a part of the book that Sun City Radio has inspired me to write, because there's so many things that I couldn't get to within the conversation. But let me explain this. You see, everything, it's due to war. Africans just don't get up, and people don't just get up and look and say, hey, how you feel? I feel like sell you. It is a matter, it's a matter of the design that Europe, in its desperate stage, the 15th century, it was, I mentioned this before, it was blocked off from going trading with the East, with China, with the Ottoman, with anybody, because of the Ottoman Muslim blocked off, they control Constantinople. That is the headquarters for Christianity. And once the Muslims took over that, they couldn't trade east, they couldn't head to India, they couldn't get the spices, they couldn't get food. All right?
Right.
And they were able to break themselves free in the West from under the grips of the Moorish Empire. At that time, it was all out revenge. They wanted to get to the Muslim Empire. They were at war. Africa was on the way, right in the middle of all of this. Okay? So
Right.
the first thing that we have to understand is you look into King Alfonso and how the Congolese Empire convert into Christianity. It was first by trade, and then it forms treaty, and then the treaty start to create treats, and then the treats turn into threats. And you can look right from the story of King Alfonso how the Congolese Empire broke down. And the king himself was forced to sell his own people into slavery. You can read the letter to King Emmanuel and King John, where the king of Congo is saying, I did not even realize what I signed. Went to war and I signed this treaty, and I never realized that the treaty is now requiring me to sell my own people.
Right.
You know, the treaty technically means now you are a brother in the faith. So your loyalty is to the foreigner, and you have to sell your brother by blood. So this thing is very technical. And I want to mention another thing that broke down the African society. 1509 Morocco War. This is the first time the gun is being introduced on an army that is still using spears. So the whole society was broken down and says, sign this. And if you don't believe me, look at what is going on in Palestine and Israel today.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. And one of the things that I recognize, even with some of the messages that Richie is still writing, saying that Africans really need to take responsibility because they, either way you take it, they were a part of selling their own, even if it was a different tribe selling their own, so we must not try to cover it up. It did happen. He also said that we must stop covering up, and even today in Libya that is still happening. So we as Black people, we as Africans must take some responsibility. I don't know this number, but the person said they're from Canada, and he's saying, big up yourself, Richie. No white man not sell no white man. We don't need no reason, so that's the state of mind, which I can understand both sides. We have to take some sort of responsibility to say that this did happen, but because we were fighting each other, it was a loophole. It was some sort of weakness for somebody to come in and get what they want. So that is another way to look at it. Oftentimes when Go ahead.
Oh, my apologies. Oh, there's a delay. My apologies. No, I just think that yes, it's our responsibility now after the aftermath of what happened.
Yeah.
Now, as a race of people, it is our responsibility to unite.
Yeah.
Again, Europe. We were just civilized, normal people in Africa living. We have our own medicine, our own technology. We were, we loved each other. But again, there were border conflicts. There were different conflicts. And let me tell you something. If you come to kill me, if you take over my resource or my town and me catch you, me gonna do what, if me no want to kill it, me gonna take some resource off you. So at the end of the day, when people have to defend them town and if them all get a war go on, the mindset of wars. But what I'm saying now, in closing, in the press for time here, is that our responsibility as it relates to Rich's point and the listener in Canada, we just
his name is Brian. Yeah.
Unite now. Yes, the past is there. It runs through our blood still. We didn't forget, but all we have to do is just unite, and just think about our ancestors, identify with Africa, and we're going to be a superpower. We just have to unite and don't walk around hiding because right now Europe is on this thing now where they're trying to use us and get us out of the West. That's what they want. We build them. They're so-called first world power. Now they want to kick us out of Europe and deporting people. But listen, man, do what you need to do. This is your land. The West is yours. Your ancestors make it. And just feel confident to know that African people is going to run this world again.
The Benki.
But let me squeeze in this real quick. You see, unity at this stage not going to be based on any one of our beliefs. It has to be based on knowledge, right? And that is where we have gone wrong. And the people who base their systems on knowledge are developing scientifically, technologically, medically, in every alley. All right? So it's about knowledge, not belief. We're in the age of knowledge. Belief is through the door. So before we can even start to analyze what happened, what we are going to do, or blame or them or that, we have to really see what is happening from a historic, cultural perspective. That way we understand the world yesterday and today. Without getting to the crux of it, we're not going to arrive at unity, right? So with that, what else? I mean, let me just leave it right there. But let me just say this still. You see the people who practice benevolence, for example, Queen Jojo, you sound like a nice queen and everybody up at Sun City, and you might order your lunch today. Well, your mindset is so natural and so pure. When you come across people who sit down and just think grimy every single day of their life, right? What happens is you're gonna have to give them your lunch. So that is how the world systems of knowledge transfer from people who build knowledge and people who build weapons of war. That is how barbarians control the world today. We are the ones who build the science and the knowledge and have the love and build the philosophy. The people who control it today. Thank you so much.
Let me just say this real quick to my people as we're getting off here right now. Listen, for 2026 and forward, please think about your health, your wealth, and family, and anybody when I promote your life or I think within your interest, shut them off. We are dealing with health and wealth and love for the 2026 period.
I agree with you. Thank you so much, Benki and Isaiah Mentor. Thank you all for sticking and staying with Sun City throughout to 2025. All the best for 2026. We look forward to another interesting conversation and keeping Africa's history alive. We need to know, we need to learn and continue learning. So thank you so much and all the best.
Reference General History of Africa, Volume 10. It deals with the diaspora.
All right, thank you. All right, we close out with Amra in Canada saying, we cannot unite until we acknowledge and accept part accountability. Big ups to you guys. We're going to take a break and we'll be back after this.
Scared of height. Some people scared of driving fast. Some people scared of ghosts. Some people scared of the truth.